And we are back for our second half of this episode here. We've gone, and before we go on and continue, we want to remember if you want to send Lovey a dear Lovey letter, you can send it at love@latenightLove.us.
Love to hear from you.
You can catch our past broadcasts and all information we use for these shows at latenightLove.us. You can also catch us on latenightLove.locals.com. I believe is the new address we got there. At Facebook/The Late Night Love. It's unique, that one. And you can find us on MeWe, Minds, and other social media networks. I forget all of them. You can find me on Twitter at JazzRack. And I believe that's about it. Oh, Anchor FM, Late Night Love, various podcast networks. And if you can't find us on your favorite podcast network, let us know, and we will get it up on there. So, okay, as we do this again, because, well,
somebody forgot to unmute the mic.
Yeah, well, it's not my fault. Well, okay, it is my fault, but still.
It's a bump in the road.
Hey, these things happen.
We're fine.
We get to do it again. That's all it means.
Because we're professionals, dang it.
Yeah, that's what happens when the talent has to also be the engineering staff. See, this is actually why in professional setups you've got like a team of people behind you when you do the TV show. And I know about doing TV shows. There's 3 of us in front of the thing, and when you have a full staff, there's 3 cameras, which has their own cameraman. You've got the floor director, you've got the floor sound person, and you got the 4 people in the booth. And that's just to put on a half-hour show. Now, we do it differently because, of course we do in our show. We have 1 person to do the camera, oftentimes is the floor director, and we have 2 people in the booth. So they're busy. They're moving around a lot. Everybody's doing lots of things, except for the talent, of course. All you have to do is stand up there and talk about what you prepared. So, the life of talent is easy. Again, no one wants to. Everybody else would rather be behind the scenes. They find it more fun. You want to come on TV with me? Everybody gets all scared. No one wants to be it.
I don't.
So, even though it's the easiest role in the studio. All right. So, what's this first question we've got dealing with today?
How do you fight for your husband and get him to stop seeing his mistress? He doesn't want a divorce, and I can't afford a divorce.
I don't think she can afford not to get a divorce. I think this is one of these cases where you got to believe what they're telling you. He doesn't want a divorce because he's selfish, completely selfish, only thinking about himself, and doesn't care how much pain he causes anybody else around him. We've talked about being selfish earlier. To protect yourself. He's not protecting himself. There's no protection there. Well, I mean, if he's an emotional child, then maybe he's protecting himself, but that's not the same thing. An adult being an emotional child doesn't get to protect themselves at the expense of other people. But he's essentially told you, I'm not leaving my mistress. So he doesn't want you as a wife. He wants you as a thing.
Yeah, but she's still in the fighting mode. She still thinks she can fight for him. I think she needs counseling to be able to move on to the point where she can maybe get a little bit angry, and start processing.
Well, maybe, but I think the only way she's going to get to that stage is to leave. As long as she's afraid to leave, and she's afraid of getting a divorce, clearly she says she can't afford it.
There's a lot of people who can't afford a divorce, but you got to get out of that toxic situation.
Yeah, you can't afford
Separate. Get the hell out of there. Worry about a divorce later.
Oddly enough, the divorce is probably the one thing that can save your economics. But nobody comes out better of a divorce and economically speaking, but you come out better mentally speaking and physically speaking and emotionally speaking. Every other way, you come out healthier, which will help your economics in the long run.
Yes.
And even if it doesn't, it will help your happiness in the long run. So as long as you're not going to starve and freeze out in the cold or something, get the hell out. I don't see any way that this ends well. And the longer it goes on, the more emotional damage that's done.
Well, that's why I suggested counseling, to kind of get that process going.
Yeah, I still agree. Go to counseling after you get the hell out. At the same time, I don't care. There's no way that ends well.
It took me 1.5 years of counseling before I left my violent husband. It's a process. I had to get there.
Yes, but you should have left 2 years before.
Yes, I should have.
That's the point. And we can't sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You should go to counseling so you can eventually find. No, get the hell out and then go to counseling so you can start repairing the damage that's been done. There's times to be nice, there's times to be gentle, and there's times to slap somebody with the truth. I'm not being mean. I'm not being uncaring. I'm not being unkind. I'm actually being as kind as I can possibly manage to be. Dragging these things out is not kind. It's just not. It's got its own costs, and those need to be considered. And sadly, we don't consider those things until after we've gone through it a few times, so we know the cost of dragging it out. And we all know I'm the king of knowing how to drag these things out. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, when my parents died, I was given custody of my 2-year-old brother. Now I am married with children and he is 15. I love him as much as my other children, and sometimes I forget he is my brother. Is that weird? I would say no, it's not weird. Good heavens, you had him since he was 2 years old.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get through this time without crying. Because I remember I teared up when we were talking about this in the first attempt at this at this. Yeah, you are as both. You're his brother and his father. You've raised him since he was 2. Your family. I mean, this thing could have gone sideways so easily. And yet here you are, you're wondering, your biggest concern is that you sometimes feel like his father. That's your biggest concern? Pat yourself on the freaking back. You've done a wonderful job. Because didn't sit here and say I've been raising since he was 2. He's disturbed. He's running with the road. That's not the question he wrote. He didn't write some question that he's disturbed about the direction his brother's going. He's writing, sometimes I feel like his father. Am I feeling weird? No, that's perfectly natural feeling. And in fact, you should be proud. It means you've given him a wonderful gift. You've given him unconditional love, the love of a parent that he doesn't have. It doesn't matter if it comes from his brother. You're his father. You've raised him. You care about him. That's what makes you a father. There's a difference between being a father and being a dad. Anybody can be a dad. It takes actual time and effort and love to be a father. I mean, there's something different. It's not about blood. And you're lucky you've got the blood. And, you're clearly big enough difference in age where you're old enough, but you couldn't have been that old. How old could you have been?
How old could you have been?
You couldn't have been that old. And yet you've raised him. Now you're raising your own kids. And your concern is that I might love him too much? No. Now you've done the world a service. Because it's not just your brother that's watching. It's your children. It's your neighbors. It's the people at school. It's your friends' friends. I mean, it's your children's friends. It's your friends' children. Everybody's watching. Everybody sees. No, not enough of them come back and pat you on the back and say, you've done a wonderful thing. This is true. We should do that more often. But you've done a wonderful thing. And the ripples you leave in time, you do not know. But we thank you.
Yes.
Because that's just a tremendous act of love. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you. Because I'm a guy, I have no idea about these kind of questions. Why did my gynecologist ask if I'd had a baby before? I haven't and felt embarrassed.
They ask everybody. How many pregnancies have you had? That's a standard question.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, some of us cannot answer these questions. I don't know what a regular gynecologist visit's like. My poor daughter. I had to raise her for a kind of, it wasn't by myself. I was her main caregiver. Her mother was in a different state when we were teenagers, so we kind of had to navigate these things on our own. And I'm surprised she's a functioning human being, to be honest with you.
She's a wonderful girl.
Yes, I know. That's not the point. The point is, how in the hell did that happen when I can't answer questions like this? She's got to go through these things. She either has to have really frank discussions with her nurses and her doctors, and, it's not the olden days where you couldn't talk to somebody who's states away, phone calls and the internet. There's always that. But these are awkward questions. And women's questions, body questions, are different than men. Men, we joke about our bodies and our procedures. And, everybody knows what happens in a man's prostate exam. Everybody on the planet knows. Right? There's not a comedian who hasn't told that the joke. Right? Everybody knows the jokes. And it's because it's real. Okay, the jokes are a little exaggerated, but not by much. And so everybody knows. But you don't really have jokes. I mean, there's one or two comedians who will joke about the gynecologist experience, but we don't talk about it. People say, oh, it's icky. I don't necessarily think it's icky. It's just no one wants to talk about it. Women are different than men. Men will laugh at themselves.
You don't need to know.
Yeah, well,
it's private.
Yeah. Well, so is having his fingers shoved up your rectum, but we don't mind sitting there talking about bend over and cough, snap. It's just the glove jokes and all that. We don't mind. Yeah, it's all makes us uncomfortable, but it's the humor eases the stress over the whole thing. But it's also a way to tell all men to shut up and just go do your stupid prostate exam.
Well, we have humor. We do it amongst ourselves.
Yes, but
why would we include men? They can't relate.
Because that's how you make it a not uncomfortable conversation. If you can't talk about it in public company, so to speak, in polite company, so to speak, then you can't talk about it in polite company. We can talk about prostate exams in polite company. When's the last time you talked about a woman's exam in polite company?
I don't.
Exactly. That's my point. We want to normalize these kind of conversations. We have to normalize these kind of conversations. There's no other way to do it. We all talk about normalizing these kind of conversations. Well, we're just going to have to start normalizing these kind of conversations.
Okay, well, when we get together, we always talk about having to scoot down to the end of the table. That's always such a pain in the rear. I'm hanging off the edge to begin with, and you want me to scoot down some more? Ah!
Yeah, well,
And then there's the duck bills. If you get somebody nice, they warm them up. But if not, yikes.
See, we're not afraid to have these conversations over here. So, I don't even know what the hell a duck bill is. So,
Speculum.
oh, okay, there we go. Then that we know what it is.
Yeah.
So we don't know that y'all call them duck bills. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a duck bill. Quack, quack.
So no, I get
That's what it looks like.
I get the reference now. I do. I get the reference now that it's been explained to me. But it wouldn't have occurred to me. These are things we don't know, right? Because we don't talk about them.
Well, we do here.
We do here. We're willing to here. We may not know I may not know what the hell to do with them, but I'm willing to have them. Okay. My 18-year-old daughter. Oh wait, you want to do it now? I'll finish. My 18-year-old daughter cannot finish high school because she fails math every year. Despite multiple tutors, she says she's unable to understand. In other subjects, she has good grades. What can we do? Well, she's 18, so she's going to be a senior. She's going to graduate.
She's 12. No, she's
12.
18.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So that means she's a senior. That means it's not like you have time to make up these math classes. And so, one, we don't know what level of math we're talking about here. Is it calculus? Is it they change what's required. Algebra 2, algebra. You don't need high level math to function in life. So one way is to go around it and get a GED and then go to community college, send her off to community college where high level math isn't necessarily required, depending upon what you want to do in life. And there's plenty to do in life that doesn't require, needing calculus or wherever she happens to be stuck. But there are also other techniques. One of the things about looking for tutors is you have to find the right tutor. The tutor who has the technique that will reach your specific child. Because if they're all just trying to use the same technique, they're going to fail.
Yes.
And so clearly what the methods they are using or they have used haven't worked. And because you didn't say she can't do it. She's got good grades in other classes, so she clearly probably understands basic math. It's probably not, I'm going to assume that we're not talking she's stuck in pre-algebra or something.
Right.
I'm assuming it's algebra or higher. And lots of people have trouble with algebra and higher. It's nothing, I still can't figure out algebra to save my life. But I can do geometry. So.
Yeah, algebra was the only A I ever got in high school, but I can't do geometry to save my life.
So, there's.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so I don't know where she's stuck, and I don't know what her school requires to graduate. And if it's just a credit requirement she needs, if she's already gotten her required math and she just can't pass the next highest one because that's what they do, and so she's missing credits, and you can just go take some kind of credit class, home ec or something, just to get your credits. Or if it's a math credit, a specific math class she needs to graduate and she can't pass that one. And in life, when you go fill out job applications, they don't ask you what your GPA was. They don't ask you, do you have a GED or high school diploma? You check the box and you move on. It doesn't matter. So, what's the long-term goal? Is the long-term goal to move her on in life, or is your long-term goal to pass some arbitrary class?
Well, a lot of times parents get stuck on the notion of that walk across the stage.
Yeah, and I get it, because it's a symbolic walk across the stage. It signifies all the work and effort that everybody's put in, right? It's not just the student. A lot of these parents have to drive their kids to school and pick them up every day, and it's a drudgery. and you get your own sense of completion when the child walks. But that's vanity. That's not what's best for your child. That's your own vanity. That's fulfilling your own vanity. That's not about your child. That's about you. What's best for her? And what's best for her is to be able to move forward. You know, get the GED, go to community college, and try again. Try an online school that has a vastly different technique for teaching those classes. Whatever it takes. You know, it's just the path you're going on. Fighting these things has diminishing returns. At some point, you're actually going to be causing more harm than good. You're going to create, mental issues, psychological issues, anxiety over classes and testing and education, and you don't want to do that. So be very careful. Understand what you want to go, what you want to do, and just find a way to move forward. Sometimes moving forward means going around. Yeah. Okay, what do we got next?
My 12-year-old daughter named Kevin says that people bully her for her name. It's a very nice and common name. So why do people bully her?
Well, there's a couple questions. A, does she think?
Well, bullying isn't okay to begin with.
Yeah, well, we got to cover that first. It's never okay to bully, and so the bullying part is wrong. And my question is, how did she think that Kevin was a girl's name? Or is she pronouncing it somehow differently that I can't think of? So my guess is maybe she's not from the United States, so she doesn't realize there's a cultural difference. Didn't realize Kevin was a mainly male name. So that's kind of my first curiosity. But it's also, in a sense, it shouldn't be relevant. Because you're right, bullying someone over their name, especially in the United States, where we have people from every corner of the world and all kinds of names. I mean, we literally have people who name their names after tequila. And so I don't know why we're picking on girls with the name of Kevin. And especially in the modern world where it really doesn't make a dang bit of difference what your name is and what your gender is. That's becoming less and less of an issue as time moves on. But kids are kids. And they try to be funny. And they don't realize they're being cruel because they're children. Now at 12, you should start to be realizing that. But also at 12, it's when gender differences start to appear. And so that difference between your name and your gender are going to be more noticeable than they were in second grade. No one cared. It's just, my guess is her daughter will find a way around this on her own. She'll go by her middle name, nickname, shorten it to Vin or something. But that's really all you can do, is offer her the solution to allow her to go by her middle names or different versions of her name and let her take some control. Give her some control. That's, I think, all you can really do. And it's going to be hard because I know she's probably lays at night and blames herself some for giving her this name that she thought was perfect. She clearly thought it was a perfectly normal name to give. And she rings nice in her ears. And so now, but my child gets bullied because I gave her a name that people, that's a tough cross to bear. Just all you can really do is give your daughter the power to take control of it, and she'll find her way. It's one way. She'll either change her name, or she'll put on the suit of armor and say screw it, and she'll wear it like a badge of honor, and plow her way through life. So she'll find her way one way or the other. There's nothing wrong with either way. You know, whichever way suits her personality is the way she's going to choose. But you know, you've seen it both ways. People will go by a different name, their middle name.
Oh yeah.
Or a nickname or something. Or you've seen it, well, screw it. I'll just wear it like a badge of honor. Don't tell me, make fun of me and my name. Screw you. You can't hurt me because of it. Yeah. Both of them are perfectly valid responses. You just give her the freedom to do it. Okay. All right, so what we got?
When did you realize that your significant other was not your soulmate? Well, I have moments you're my soulmate, and then I have moments where I look at you and go, what are you doing here? Don't you have somewhere to be?
Yeah, well, I think we first have to disavow
Who are you?
Yeah.
Then what are you doing here?
Well, thanks a lot there, Lovey. Jeez, making me feel loved. No, I think we have to disavow this notion that we have soulmates.
Well, I also have the notion that you are the pinnacle of my life's struggles and relationships, and this is what I deserve.
Okay, well, the other one was probably more realistic, but
I vacillate. But then again, I've had several relationships. I kind of disposed of the idea of a soulmate a while ago. That one all-defining relationship.
Yeah, well, the point of us, soulmates don't actually exist. It's hard to actually believe when you say soulmates exist. Well, but there are people who are highly compatible with you. Those people exist.
Oh, yeah.
Those people do exist. And I've always assumed that we miss most of them. Most of them we don't see. And they don't see us. We pass them by like strangers in the night because that's what we are. And then you've got the ones you choose that are just wrong because, you know, you don't understand yourself or them or all the various reasons we do stupid things. Then there's a handful that you come across that you do are generally life compatible. And then one or the other or both of you screw it up. See? And then what happens is people like us, we come here late in life and whatnot, and we found somebody else. Hey, yay, we found our soulmate. No, we're just ready We're just ready for a real relationship. We actually know what it means now. And we actually know how to work towards it. It's, there's a difference between being an 18-year-old and in love and being 35 and in love. 45 and in love.
45.
55 and in love. There's a difference. Because you've grown. You've changed as a person. We've evolved. You're not the same person at 20 as you are at 30. You're not the same person at 45 as you were at 30. And the person you're with isn't the same person. Or if they are, they've got bigger problems. But nobody's the same. And so to say someone who is your soulmate at one age, if you don't evolve in the right directions together, you're no longer going to be. So therefore, you're not a soulmate. It can't exist. But someone who is compatible, someone who you love with every ounce of your heart. Mind and body. That does exist. Yeah, those things don't have to end. But is there this one single person out there in the world for you? Yeah, the person you're with. Spend the time on that relationship. And you don't have to worry about the other ones. All right. What's this last one?
What small thing can you tell a lot about a person? I think it's how they treat people. Are they consistently kind?
Well, see, I always be that one. Anybody who's overly kind, I mean, I always come kind of suspect. Predators are very good at hiding in sheep's clothing. And so,
Well, you're especially kind.
no, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm empathetic.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm empathetic, but I'm not kind. I am not especially kind. I'm very empathetic. This is true. I'm very understanding. I try to be as kind as I can.
Yeah.
But that's not the same thing. I won't be overly kind. If someone doesn't deserve my kindness, they're not going to get it.
Well, no, you're not a punching bag.
And, well, used to be. And I don't give somebody what necessarily what they think they need. I give them what I think they need. And that's sometimes doesn't fine, but in the long run it is. Because you don't want to be dishonest. Sometimes being honest is it's the kindest thing to do in the long run, but it doesn't appear very kind in the moment. Now you can do it as kindly as possible, but you know.
Okay. Well, I still say you're kind.
I've seen too many predators, and so I become what is it? Evil doesn't show up in a twisted mustache and a cape. They show up clothed in good deeds and kind words. That's all. The villain, the traditional villains, they don't show up in the twisted mustaches and the funny hat and the cape. They show up clothed in good deeds and kind words. But of course, so does Mother Teresa. So what are you going to do? You do the best you can. I don't know if there's any small things that can actually tell you much about another person. I like to think if a person can think deeply. They can actually philosophize, have an actually internal philosophy that goes beyond emotion. It's kind of what I look for. It tells me that someone is able to think beyond themselves. Because you can't think beyond yourself if you can't think deeply about yourself. Because you can't be honest. If you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with the rest of the world. It's not possible because you're not interpreting the world properly. I mean, none of us interpret the world properly, but you're not even going to get close if all you do is acting on your emotions. You know? So if someone can have some logic underneath that, if you can't get lost in your emotions, we watch it. A lot of the response to Simone Biles that we talked about earlier is an emotional response. There's no logic to the responses. They think it's logical. They're good with wordplay, and so they can make it sound like there's some logic or philosophy underneath it. But it's not. It's an emotional response. Somehow, there's people who think she owes them her gold medal. You owe the country winning a gold medal. No, she doesn't. Nobody else owes you jack. They may give it to you, but they don't owe you. They may care about you. They may care about themselves, and you get something out of it. But they don't owe you anything. The only thing you're actually owed is the people who claim to love you should actually love you. That's it. And what exactly does that mean? That's for you guys to decide. And with that, me and Lovey, we'll see you next week. You can reach Lovey at love@latenightLove.us. You can find us at latenightLove.us, Facebook /TheLateNightLove. You can find us at latenightLove /locals and Minds and MeWe and all the various social media networks. If you can't find us somewhere, let me know, and we will look into it. For me and Lovey, thank you for being here, and we will see you next week. And please remember to love everybody.
Bye.